All right. Let's go ahead with this. Want to do part two of Unity talk. Just my thoughts, man. Uh, so first of all, let me say, with just my thoughts, um, these are just my thoughts, um, based in facts, based in history, and just a lot of things. The reason why I like to do these videos is to kind of, um, get people to think outside the box a little bit. And because sometimes, not even sometimes, most of the time, a lot of the stuff that we see want us to think in the box and just operate the way the system wants us to. And the reason why I think unity is so important, um, is because, man, listen, there's strength in numbers. Okay, there's always strength in numbers, and things can get done when you have uh, numbers. When you have numbers, and you have people, and especially with ethnic groups. You have to. A lot of times with us as Black people, a lot of people want us to vote so we can get things, so people can kind of do things for us. But what I'm trying to do, I would rather. I'm not saying don't vote or whatever, but I'm saying I'm more into us coming together and voting as a block, but coming together first. You understand what I'm saying? So I was watching something recently. I was watching the fight match, the boxing match. I'm big on boxing, as you can tell, from my Wilder versus Fury video. I was watching the fight with Tank Davis and the guy Cruz, and it was a great fight. And I noticed that Tank. I knew something was going on because something was going on with his hand. And then at the end of the fight, you can tell he didn't throw not he didn't throw that hand. He only threw like a jab or something the last round, pretty much the last two rounds. And you can kind of tell in the corner he was like really hurt. He kept doing like this, you know what I mean? But anyways, make a long story short, after the fight, a lot of people were saying that the Cruz guy, um, he got robbed, or it should have been a draw, or he's the next up and coming great fighter. And my thing is, and I noticed that came from a lot of Mexicans. I've seen a couple of other people too, but most of it was people from Cruz ethnic group. I noticed a couple other fights when Davis knocked out the one dude really bad, put him to sleep, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, the guy's a warrior." Talking about the guy that got knocked out. So I already know that has a lot to do with Mayweather. That has a lot to do with they whenever they fight Mexican fighters, the Mexican family, they stick together. I'm not mad at that, but I think us as Black folks have to recognize and see what when I like I said the last video, people circle their wagons. People come together. They unity. They gonna stick with their people. People were celebrating this Cruz gentleman because he didn't get knocked out. He got beat. I mean, when I tell you he got outboxed, he got outboxed. He landed some punches and he won some rounds, but the man got outboxed and he literally lost to Davis with one hand. And people celebrated Cruz like he was tough. But my thing is, think about this. Tank beat this man who they considered a baby Tyson with one hand. And people are saying the other guy is tough. That goes back to when Joe Louis back in the day, whenever he would beat a white fighter, he wouldn't brag. Like after he beat the guy, he would praise him, talk how great of an opponent he was, even if he was trash. But he knew. And that goes back into he knew that if he was to say something, it probably would have lynched somebody. People would have got killed back in them days. And that stuff still kind of carry over. Not saying nobody's gonna get lynched or whatever now, but that's why they always want us to be humble. They always want us to look down because they know what it is. So, and they really want to, like, back to the Davis fight. Everybody know Davis won that fight. I had an argument with a brother, not even an argument, but we just was talking because he was saying the Cruz won, the Cruz guy won. He was telling me how different the guy was. I'm like, yeah, he's different, but how different? How different? You can't be that different if you lost to somebody that was hurt with one hand. And the Cruz guy said he knew he hurt his hand around the 6th round. If you was that different, you would have took advantage of that and won. And there's no disrespect, but I'm just trying to show you how people, certain groups stick together. But when it comes to us as black folks, we have been conditioned to not trust each other, to always see it from everybody else's angle. And with us, we always, we just don't trust each other, so we look down. And like I said, if that was Tank that lost to somebody with that had a broken hand, the whole narrative would have changed. We probably would have clowned him. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the part that I get frustrated with us because, you know, I understand what the system has done. I understand all of the stuff they put out in the media that keeps us with that same that frame of mind of not trusting each other, not not coming together. That social cohesiveness is really lacking in our community, and it's because of all the things that we see on a day-to-day basis. And for me, like I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm putting two and two together. So if you notice, especially if you follow me on any social media platform, I'm always, you know, like always showing support, always, rooting for us. You know what I mean? Because I understand, I see what's going on, and this is the truth. So, what they've done is they broke up the black family, they broke up the trust in the black community, to where you will hear a lot of people say, "Man, oh, I'm not gonna say, but oh, that's them ninjas, that's them ninjas." You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You hear other black folks saying that. We don't trust each other. We think somebody fried, and we think somebody doing something kind of you. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to somebody else, we got trust for them, and that's because we've been socially, psychologically, you know, conditioned to think that way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, me as a person, I consider myself very pro-black. You know, um, and the craziest part about my position and me loving my people and always trying to uplift my people. A lot of my people don't like that. They kind of shy away from that. Like, man, this dude, he on that. You get clown for it. You know what I'm saying? So here I am. I'll fight for you. Talking about my people, I'll fight for you. I'll go all out. But the majority of you won't fight for me. So sometimes you're in a position where you think like, dang, I'll do all of this for my people, and they won't even have my back. Because when you talk and do the things that I do, I'm on a lower scale, but there's other people on a larger scale that do a lot of things for our community. They become targets, man. And we know throughout history, people have died. People get killed for the rights that we have. The rights, I'll get into that in a minute. But, people have died fighting for us to have just civil rights. Just be civil. Just be civil to us. And people died for that, man. So I said all that to say, I mean, I put out some music. I'm retired from the rap game, but I put out a project that's on all streaming platforms called Penalties of Leadership, and that album was based off of a documentary that I watched. about Marcus Garvey. And towards the end of his life, he was like so brokenhearted. Basically, they were saying he died of a broken heart. He was hurt. I mean, when you think about it, even with Dr. King, they were saying Dr. King had to, go to a therapist, man. He was losing his mind a little bit, no disrespect. I'm just saying what they said in the documentary. They were saying it was so tough. So when I called the album, I heard, Jay-Z say, guess it's just the penalties of leadership. And, I called the album Penalties of Leadership. So it just, that made me think like, man, whenever you want to be a leader, especially in our community, and you want to try to awaken your people and uplift your people, oh my God, it comes with a lot of, you got the dominant society that's trying to take you out of here, and then you don't have that much. You might get some love, but for the most part, you might even have some of your own people that you fighting for come at you, which is crazy. So for me, I feel like the reason why unity is important, man, is because right now what we're dealing with all of these different things where they're trying to coerce people are losing their jobs, regardless with all of these, they're the courts, you know what I'm talking about. The courts are um, freezing and putting a hold on things, and in the meanwhile, you got jobs threatening you, people, doing certain things to trying to save face, man, and and be able to provide for their family. But that again is what I'm saying with why unity is important. Whenever we don't have that ownership, we don't own businesses, we don't own that many lands to just do. We're workers. When you just have that quote unquote job, when you just have a job, then you relying on the man, and that man can just make that his own decision. Like in New York, they did a whole mandate for private sectors, meaning small, private businesses that's not federally owned or whatever. So they're known by the government, and it's like, oh, so now you can do it. They just trying to empower and change and all of these different laws and saying, oh, you can't use this, you can't say that when that stuff is in the Constitution. So it's just crazy to me. But that's why unity is important. Because when you have your own, nobody can really tell you. Nobody can really force you to do stuff. When you are, there's no knock about being a worker, because I'm a worker myself. I have my own business and I have I work a 9 to 5. And the thing about it is, when you don't have that much control economically in your community, these people can control it. You understand what I'm saying? And they can come in and do what they want. I'm white and I say so. You know what I mean? I'm in power and I say so. You do it or you whatever. You gotta leave. And we shouldn't put ourselves in that position to have somebody have that much power over us. And that if we had unity and people came together, so like let's say, regardless of how you feel about the situation, but if you see somebody doing your brother wrong and we have unity, it's like, oh no, you're not going to do that to him. I may not agree with that, but we're all going to take a stand. Then they don't have no power. It's like, oh snap, they unified, they sticking together. But instead of us sticking together, you will hear us during this time say, oh man, they stupid. Why don't you just do it? Why don't you just get it? Why don't you know what I'm talking about when I say get it? Why don't you just do it? Oh, they stupid. That's why they send all of these people out here, man, that's selling us out, being on TV saying all this crazy stuff, man, trying to get us to, go on, just trust them. Go ahead and do it. It's gonna be okay. Like it saddens me, man. It saddens me because I'm seeing, I go to all these different cities, man. I see Chinatown, I see little Italy's, I see all of these different things, but you don't see black folks coming together like other groups come together. You understand what I'm saying? And another reason for that is we're too inclusive. I mean, we're literally like, if to give an example, it's like a basketball team. I used to be a coach. It's like if I got a huddle and I got my huddle, what I'm telling my team I want to do, I got it over a loudspeaker. so everybody know what play we about to call. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm at practice and I'm trying to prepare for a team and I send them the video, or I allow the coach over and let them know, hey man, it's all love and it's all good, man. We're gonna have a great game. Come on to my practice, man. Come check us out. And we about to play a game. And we're too inclusive, man. And the crazy part is I always blame the system because all of this stuff stems back in the day, back in slavery days, when our people was forced into slavery. And it's like even back then, you couldn't have three or more black people together without a white person present, especially in the churches or whatever, because they always felt like we would come up with something. That's why they have that fear of a black messiah. That's why people always had this fear. People that talk like me or think like me. That's like a red flag. That's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So they got to get ahead of it. Got to get ahead of it quickly. You got to control the narrative. So you got to look at a person like me, like, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, even though when they started the conspiracy theorist saying that was a way to kind of like keep you distracted from what was really going on, because a lot of truth was being told. So they said, oh, we gotta make them seem like they crack, they cuckoo, you know what I mean? So people don't listen to them. So because they got to control the narrative. That's why the TV, the most of the TV, the music, everything is controlled by the dominant society, and the system, as I like to call it. And but with us, we have to wake up. We have to get out. Like the movie said, you got to get out. You got to get out of that mindset, man, of that frame of mind of it's okay, man. Like you ain't gotta hate people or feel like, oh man, if I love myself, that mean no. I mean, I love my family. That doesn't mean I'm hating on yours because I love my family. But my family come first. I mean, that's what it is. And we have to be okay with that because everybody else is doing it. And you can see now it's getting so crazy that we ain't got a choice really. I mean, last year people that were celebrated, that were doing everything, that was like, oh, they were the heroes. They're letting them go. They're trying to fire them now because they won't do what they are trying to force people to do. What happened to you? You're right. Like, are you God? And you gonna tell somebody you need to do this because this is about public safety. This is about you can endanger my life. But all of the evidence is showing so many different things. Like it's so much craziness that's taking place, man. And people are just afraid at this point. I don't think nobody really believed none of it. Now it's just more of a fear. Now, before it was like, oh my God, I don't want to die. But now it's kind of like, oh, shoot, I ain't got a choice. I better do it. If I want to go here, I better do this. If I want to feed my family, I better do this. Or I'm gonna lose out on this, But that comes because what do you have to fall back on? That's why unity is important, man. That's why coming together, man. Like it's a method to my madness. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, okay, be tripping. Like I see things differently, man. And my walks of life, I've seen how people come together, how things are done. I've been a part. I've seen some think tanks in this world, and I've seen how people come together. And I see also how with us, all a lot of us when we're trying to get a seat at the table, because all of our life when it comes to success or the idea of success or the idea of getting a job, we have to appease and make other people feel comfortable, show that we're not just another ninja from the hood. You know what I'm saying? We're not just sagging our pants. We're not just a hood thug or whatever. So we got to make people feel comfortable. The same thinking of somebody clutching their purse, we got to make them feel safe in order to get the job, in order to keep the job. So you buck your eyes, you know what I'm saying? You smile, you try to be friendly, you know what I mean? You don't want to have dreads. You know what I'm trying to say? These are the same things that's taking place. But it's like it's too much fear, you know. And to me, man, I just can't. I just, I don't know. I don't know why I'm like this. I've always been inspired by, our elders, our heroes, because I know how what we're lucky to have today. They didn't. They fought for it. People died for it. And I just don't want to let what happened to the people that fought and died for us. Just I don't want it to be in vain. I don't want it to be for nothing. Like they just put all of that crazy stuff, that Jim Crow and all of that stuff, they put that stuff on freeze. No, it needs to die permanently. And only how it can die is if we come together. All right, and real quick, I'm going to end it like this. Solution-wise, it has to start, charity starts at home. I think, you have to do with your family. I think families need to come together first and foremost, excuse me. I think families need to come together. Um, and then we have to figure out a way to put our monies together, our dollars together, grow our own food, um, and we need to have more meetings. Used to be the church back in the day, but the government kind of got involved with that, and again, get a hold, get in front of everything, and we gotta block that now. So now we got to get to that point. Like even I'm gonna share this video on the platform, so I'm giving out the game, but I'm kind of trying to code it out a little bit, but at the end of the day, those are the solutions. Be with your family, get with your family, and then you start with your community. Start organizing community functions and just different things that you can do, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I know legally what they can't do. I understand some of the trick bag words and all of that, but we still need to be together as a people. And again, a disclaimer, I'm not mad at anybody else, like, back to the boxing match, Cruise fans and people from Cruise culture, they supposed to rock with their people. They supposed to. They supposed to be like that. And I'm just saying, once we get to that point, oh, it's game over. And I mean that. Like, it's literally like, oh, snap. That's why so much emphasis on preventing that. You know what I mean? So we got to get to that point, man, where we come together and, we work together. And, despite our differences, despite, you know, where you from, what you believe, what neighborhood, if you gon' if you trust the government, you don't, pro black, but you pro people, whatever the case may be, man. Again, charity starts at home. All right. King Talk Turner, man.